The launch of the Lao-China Railway in 2021 has sparked new interest in rail travel among.
What if I told you that China just dropped millions of living fish into one of the world's deadliest deserts and left them there for an entire year? The results will absolutely shock you. First, desert fish miracle. Are you ready for this? Picture the most lifeless, salt-crusted desert you can imagine. Temperatures that would cook you alive during the day and freeze you solid at night. This is the Taklamakan Desert in Xinjiang, a place so hostile that locals call it the Sea of Death. Now imagine someone telling you they're going to dump millions of salmon, grouper, and shrimp right into this hellscape and expect them not just to survive, but thrive. That's exactly what Chinese scientists did, and I'm still having trouble believing what happened next. You see, the breakthrough came when they realized something incredible. The underground water in this desert wasn't just salty, it was almost identical to seawater. By adding a few key minerals, such as calcium and magnesium, they literally created an artificial ocean in the middle of nowhere. But here's where it gets even crazier. They built massive ponds, some spanning 20 acres, and filled them with species that had never seen a desert in their entire evolutionary history. We're talking about creatures that should have died within hours in this environment. The scientists used AI systems and solar power to keep everything running, creating a closed-loop system that doesn't waste a single drop of water. After just 1 year, the survival rate hit 99%. Let me put that in perspective for you. In traditional ocean fish farming, losing 20 to 30% of your stock is considered normal. But in the middle of a desert where nothing should be able to live, these fish had a better survival rate than most coastal operations. We're talking about salmon that were supposed to die in hours, not just surviving, but growing faster and healthier than their ocean counterparts. Here's the part that shocked me. These desert-raised fish were completely free of the pollutants, microplastics, and antibiotics that contaminate most seafood today. The closed-loop system meant crystal-clear water, perfect nutrition, and zero environmental toxins. Restaurants across China started paying premium prices for this desert seafood because it was the cleanest fish anyone had ever tasted. And the numbers? In 2023 alone, Xinjiang's desert farms produced 184,000 tons of seafood and started exporting to 14 countries. We're talking about a complete transformation of one of Earth's most hostile environments into a thriving food production powerhouse. But what happened next is where this story gets truly shocking, and it involves something even more ambitious than turning deserts into fish farms. Second Great Green Wall. If you thought dropping fish in the desert was ambitious, wait until you hear about China's plan to build a wall of trees across their entire northern border. I'm talking about a forest wall that stretches nearly 5,000 kilometers. That's longer than the distance from New York to London. This isn't just some small environmental project. This is the largest afforestation effort in human history, and it's been quietly reshaping an area the size of half of Europe. The Three North Shelter Belt program, also known as the Great Green Wall of China, started back in 1978 with one impossible goal: stop the Gobi Desert from swallowing up the rest of the country. Picture this. Every year, massive sandstorms were burying entire cities, destroying farmland, and making life miserable for hundreds of millions of people. The government said, enough is enough, and decided to plant billions of trees to create a living barrier against the desert. Here's what blows my mind. They've already planted over 13 million hectares of forests, and the results are stunning. Sandstorm days have dropped dramatically. Millions of people have been lifted out of poverty through forest-related jobs, and get this, they've started shrinking the desert. China's total desert area went from 27.2% to 26.8% in just 1 decade. That might not sound like much, but we're talking about an area larger than several countries combined. By 2024, they completed a 3,000-kilometer green belt around the Taklamakan Desert, the same desert where those fish are now thriving. But this massive tree planting operation is just setting the stage for something even more incredible, happening along China's most important river. Third River Restoration Project. If you think planting billions of trees is impressive, wait until you hear what China's doing to its longest river. The Yangtze River was dying. I'm talking about severe pollution, soil erosion, and agricultural runoff that was poisoning one of the world's most important waterways. So China launched a $300 million project to completely transform how farming works along the entire river basin. Picture this. They're modernizing agriculture across 48 counties, implementing advanced irrigation systems and eliminating the toxic runoff that was destroying the ecosystem. But here's what makes this project absolutely genius. They're not just fixing the environmental damage, they're creating a sustainable agricultural corridor that's increasing farmers' incomes while healing the river. The results are already mind-blowing. Water quality is improving dramatically. Soil erosion has dropped significantly, and millions of farmers are seeing their livelihoods transformed. We're talking about restoring the ecological health of a river system that supports over 400 million people. But believe it or not, this river restoration project connects to something even more massive. Fourth world's largest dam. The Three Gorges Dam isn't just big, it's the most powerful hydroelectric plant on the planet. And the numbers will blow your mind. This concrete giant stretches 2,335 meters across the Yangtze River and rises 185 meters high, using 28 million cubic meters of concrete and 463,000 metric tons of steel. To put that in perspective, you could build 60 Eiffel Towers with just the steel alone. But here's where it gets insane. This single dam generates enough clean electricity to power entire countries. In 2020, it broke world records by producing nearly 112 terawatt-hours of electricity. That's enough to replace dozens of coal-fired power plants. The reservoir behind it stretches 600 kilometers upstream, creating a massive lake that allows ocean-going ships to travel 2,250 kilometers inland from Shanghai. Yet this engineering marvel came with a price. Over 1 million people had to be relocated, and entire historic towns disappeared underwater. But the dam has prevented catastrophic flooding that used to kill thousands every year. However, what China built next makes even this mega project look small. Fifth Roof Railway. You think building a dam is challenging? Try constructing a railway on the roof of the world. The Sichuan-Tibet Railway is hands down the most impossible engineering project I've ever heard of, and the fact that China is pulling it off is mind-boggling. We're talking about a 1,900-kilometer railway that has to cross some of the most hostile terrain on Earth: earthquake zones, deep valleys, and altitudes above 3,000 meters, where the air is so thin you can barely breathe. Here's the crazy part. Over 90% of this railway consists of bridges and tunnels because the landscape is just too extreme for normal track laying. Chinese engineers are drilling through entire mountains and spanning massive gorges with bridges that defy gravity. They're using earthquake-resistant technology that can handle constant seismic activity and weather systems that would shut down any normal railway. When completed, this railway will cut travel time from Chengdu to Lhasa from 48 hours to just 13 hours, connecting Tibet to the rest of China like never before. But even this death-defying railway project pales in comparison to what they're building next. 6. Ancient Canal returns. Get ready for this. China just built its first major man-made waterway since the Ming Dynasty, and it's going to completely change how goods move across Asia. The Pinglu Canal is a 134-kilometer engineering masterpiece that's creating a new sea route by connecting inland China directly to the ocean, cutting shipping distances by up to 560 kilometers. Here's what makes this project insane. They had to excavate 339 million cubic meters of earth and rock. That's 3 times more than the Three Gorges Dam. We're talking about moving enough material to bury entire cities. But the genius part isn't just the scale, it's what they're accomplishing. This canal can handle massive 5,000-ton vessels and is designed with the world's largest water-conserving ship lock that saves 63% more water than conventional systems. When this opens in 2026, it's going to save over 5.2 billion yuan annually in transportation costs alone. But here's the kicker. This canal is turning landlocked regions into maritime trade hubs, completely reshaping how southwestern China connects to global markets. Ships that used to take weeks to reach these areas can now get there in days. But believe it or not, there's something even more ambitious that's already changing lives across an entire country. Seventh Country Transformation Railway. What if I told you that China just built a railway that transformed an entire landlocked country overnight? The China-Laos Railway isn't just connecting 2 countries. It's turning Laos from landlocked to land-linked, and the impact is staggering. This 414-kilometer electrified railway cuts through some of the most challenging mountain terrain you can imagine, requiring 75 tunnels and 167 bridges just to make it possible. We're talking about trains racing through the mountains at 160 kilometers per hour, turning a 24-hour car journey into a comfortable 10-hour rail trip. The engineering here is mind-blowing. They had to blast through entire mountain ranges and span massive valleys. But here's where this gets exciting. This railway is completely changing people's lives. A trip from Vientiane to the Chinese border that used to take an entire day now takes just 4 hours. Trade is exploding, tourism is booming, and suddenly, this small Southeast Asian country is becoming a crucial link between China and all of Southeast Asia. The project cost $5.9 billion and operates under Chinese technology standards with advanced safety systems. But what's really incredible is how this single railway line is turning Laos into a regional transportation hub that nobody saw coming. However, what China built next makes even this international railway project look like a small-scale operation. 8. Gravity battery. You're about to hear about one of the most brilliant energy solutions on the planet, and it's so simple, yet so powerful, that it's going to change how we think about storing electricity forever. The Luxi pumped storage power station is basically a massive battery, but instead of chemicals, it uses something we have plenty of: water and gravity. Here's how this genius system works. When there's too much electricity from solar panels and wind turbines, they use that excess power to pump water uphill to a huge reservoir. Then, when everyone turns on their air conditioners and the power grid is stressed, they release that water back down through turbines, generating electricity instantly. It's like having a giant energy savings account that you can withdraw from whenever you need it. The scale of Luxi is massive. We're talking about 2,400 megawatts of capacity, making it one of the largest energy storage facilities in the world. This single station can power millions of homes and stabilize the entire regional power grid. The best part? It supports renewable energy by storing all that excess wind and solar power that would otherwise be wasted. But what's really incredible is how this technology is solving one of the biggest problems with renewable energy: the fact that the sun doesn't always shine and the wind doesn't always blow. Yet even this massive energy storage project is dwarfed by what China built to connect 3 of their most important cities. I told you the results would shock you. From those desert fish that shouldn't exist to railways crossing entire continents, these projects are changing our planet. But here's the thing, this is just the beginning. China has dozens more impossible projects in the works that are going to blow your mind even more. If you want to see what they're planning next, smash that like button and subscribe, because I'm already working on the next video about their craziest upcoming projects. Trust me, you won't believe what they're building. Drop a comment and let me know which project shocked you the most. I read every single one.